Welcome to Wealthing Talks. I am your host, Alicia Castillo Holley, bringing you real-life conversations from Silicon Valley or somewhere around the world. We will talk about disruptors, angel investments, venture capital, and of course, family offices. Join me along with my children, their families, friends, disruptors, and investors as we explore the fascinating world of creating wealth in a completely different and authentic way. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I am talking to Karen all the way from Berlin. It is so exciting to have her as a guest. We met a few years ago when we were talking about Libra Latinas.
Oh yeah,
And
Libra leaders,
she was
yeah.
telling me about her fun, and it's so exciting to see another Latina having her fun. So, Karen, welcome, welcome, welcome. So excited to have you here.
Thank you so much, Alicia. I'm really excited to be here with you, just powering through these times and really building something that hopefully will endure for decades to come. So, thank
It
you so
will,
much for
it
having me.
will. So let's start with, how did you get here? How did you get to do this? What happened?
Oh my gosh, what happened? That's a great question. It's an accidental VC. Isn't that this seems to be the story, actually? There is no straight path to VC. I mean, quite honestly, when I was going through business school or even my MBA and all of this, maybe even 5 years ago, I didn't really know that I wanted to become a VC. It's very recent. And I don't think, I mean, maybe now people in college say that they want to be going to VC and they have like a lot of clarity around it. That wasn't me. I started as an operator in finance at a Fortune 100 companies, right? So it's typically not the right background, so to speak, for VC, or you don't see it as much. Okay, you are Fortune 100 finance executive for companies like American Airlines, PepsiCo, Visa. You are now doing early stage VC. It's almost like it takes a completely different skill set, right? So yeah, it just started with angel investing, honestly. Started angel investing on the side during the pandemic. I think we all had a lot of time on our hands and energy because we were like locked down, ultra productive. You were like, okay, I'm done with my work load for the day at 6 p.m. and I have all this energy and I want to do more. And so angel investing became my sourdough bread baking, which I know that was a pandemic hobby a lot of people were doing. And I truly threw myself in it, right? Like really learning about what makes startups thrive, how can I connect them with capital connections in my network, and all of that. And that was a couple of years before I decided to actually institutionalize it as a VC. But yeah.
And what made you take the jump?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, one thing for sure was I wanted to go into VC after a few years angel investing and just applying to roles in VC, sending my resume as it is, which I was very green and I did not know what I was doing, obviously, in retrospect. But I was just applying to these venture roles at firms and getting nothing, not even the time of the day, not even a rejection email. I was completely getting ghosted. I'm like, oh, and that went on for 7 months, right? Like I was like applying actively, nothing was happening. I'm like, I wonder what was wrong, right? Like, I mean, I have a strong finance, but it's not enough, right? It's just not enough of a track record. Getting your foot in the door in venture is extremely difficult. I feel like if I were to post a role in VC for my firm, which is not even a well-known VC firm, right? We're still, growing. But if you post a VC role on LinkedIn, within 4 days, you'll get 400 applicants. I wholeheartedly believe that. I see that all the time. It's extremely competitive, and everyone seems to want to be in VC, for better or for worse, right? Like it's like this shiny object. Everyone has like put it on a pedestal. So that's what was happening to me on that end, right? So I decided, okay, I'm going to stop this strategy and think about how I can build my own firm. And so I had people coming to me and saying, well, you do have this Fortune 100 connection and corporate advantage, right? Like, I mean, if you were to raise a fund, I would look into investing in that. And so when people start telling you something like that, you know you have something of your own to offer. So that's how I went into the path of like, maybe I should build my own firm, even when I, have a lot to learn how to do that. And of course, like then I went through the emerging manager accelerator called VC Lab, which we can talk on another time. But that was my entry point. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Why Pachamama? I love that
Yeah,
name.
great question. Thank you. Thanks for asking. I really appreciate you. Pachamama means Mother Earth in Quechua, the ancient language of the Incas. I'm from Peru originally, so I wanted to name my firm. I think the firm name is something that people obsess a lot about, like, oh, what should we call our startup or company? Like something that really sticks. For me, I mean, it came in a dream. Literally, I woke up in the middle of the night and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the name of my firm. It's startling my
Wow.
husband awake. It's like, wait, what happened? It's like Pachamama Ventures. It has to be the name of my firm, right? Because it is led by a Peruvian GP, and we invest in climate tech to heal the earth. So I couldn't think of a better name, you know. So.
That's fantastic. What is the thesis of the fund? Tell me more about the fund.
Yeah. So we're Fund One, starting debut at $5 million. We want to invest in 25 to 30 companies. We start in the US because that's home. It's a small fund run by me, a solo GP. So it's like a one-woman show. But of course, we have like a community of people surrounding us and helping us with everything from compliance to accounting. You know, the whole thing of about building a firm and a fund, right? Like there's a lot of people that you need along the way, legal operations, everything. But yeah, we started with me as a solo GP, and like so the focus is US, right? Pre-seed and seed stage, or climate tech generally. So we invest in hardware, software, and everything in between. More likely to write a pre-seed check into a software company and a seed check into a hardware and deep tech because of the obvious scaling and like the different challenges that a hardware and deep tech company might have. We already have 3 companies in the portfolio. We're about to add a couple of more by the end of the summer, and we are steadily, as we call capital from LPs, we like invested. There's nothing like I'm literally a pass-through, like right, like I mean, I'm not
Hmm.
sitting on money or anything. It's we're there are opportunities that we're like constantly evaluating, and we write checks of $100,000 to 500,000 into each of these companies.
What is your sweet spot? Can you tell us a little bit about, this great company that was my,
Yeah, sure. I
do
mean,
you have a favorite?
I kind of alluded a little earlier based on my background on Fortune 100, but I only invest within climate tech. I only invest in enterprise ready B2B tech. So, and what I mean by that is because of my Fortune 100 background in finance and like operating in that space, I really am very familiar with those Fortune 500 companies and what they look for to partner with. And I really call one of the values of the I think climate tech is customer acquisition. It's really hard, right? Like if you are fledgling B2B startup at the pre-seed seed stage, the biggest problem is actually how do you connect with these large enterprise customers? Like if you identify, it's not enough to identify the Fortune 500 customer that you would want to be convert to be a revenue customer for you, but it's like it's a 30,000, 50,000 people organization. So who is the decision maker? And once you identify the decision maker, how do you get them across the finish line? Like, what is the procurement process look like? What do they consider to be success and the KPIs when they're trying to partner with a startup, right? Like, so all of those things, that is the nature of what we do, right? Like, so we're this climate tech VC that has this interesting corporate background and is connecting you to the next customers in your pipeline. So that is very specifically what I look for, enterprise ready.
Oh, that's right. If you were to write yourself a letter to Karen 5 years ago, what would you tell yourself?
Oh my gosh. Wow, I love that question.
Before
I would
COVID.
say to, yeah, before COVID. Wow. Yeah, so yeah, just 2020. Wow. Yeah, I would tell her everything you want to do, expect everything you want to do or set out to do to be 10x harder than you think it will be.
Is it very hard?
It is. It is. And I would my thing is I always tell younger people, right? Because I love mentoring them and helping them get ahead. I'm a big believer in paying it forward, right? There were people who helped me, so we all have people. We're not self-made. That's
Yeah.
a an interesting concept, but I don't think it's true. Uh, People have people who help them, right? And so I always tell people everything is hard. Everything worthwhile is worth your while is hard. Just choose your heart, right? Everything is hard. Choose your heart. Make sure that it's a strong North Star heart, right? Like, I mean, it is something that fuels you that you cannot, like if you have like a favorite breakfast, I'm a big breakfast person. You're waking up and you're like, oh, I can't wait to get to my breakfast. It's my favorite thing in the day or whatever, right? Make sure that your heart that you're choosing to do is like that. Like every day you wake up just so energized. You know it's gonna be hard. You probably end up your week super tired, but you're also motivated. Oh my gosh, I did make a change, a difference, right? So I would say that to her and remind her
Oh,
of
that
that.
is so funny because I always ask people, what is the thing that wakes you up in the morning with excitement? And you already said that, so I'm lost with the question. Because a lot of people try to focus on the negative, what keeps you up at night? And I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to talk about the bad parts. Everybody knows the bad parts. I want to talk about, okay, what makes you excited in the
Yeah.
morning? Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, what has been your best day so far, and what happened in that day as a
Best
VC?
day. Oh, as a VC. Okay, good. I got it. That I love the qualifier. Best day as a VC. I mean, honestly, probably the first close a year ago on the fund.
Oh my
It
goodness.
probably because it's exciting, right? How can you not? It's exciting, but particularly for me, humbling, right? Because it's my first time doing this. I had never managed people's money professionally, right? When you become a VC, that is what you are now. There's compliance, there's expectations, there's like fiduciary duties. People are entrusting you with, and I make no assumptions. Whether you're a 50K LP or a half a million LP, I make no assumptions about what that means for your financial picture. To me, all of it is like it's very humbling, right? Like it's like, thank you for trusting me. I take that very seriously. I work very hard to really find the best opportunities and feed our thesis and what I have essentially told you that we would do, right? Saying something and then doing it. The power and the simplicity of that. You say you're going to do something and you do it, right? That direct line, if people see that, that is what creates these ripples effects of trust building, right? And your reputation being in the line, right? Too. So I would say that was the most exciting because that's when we came alive, right? We celebrated a year as a firm last week, but that was the milestone. It was the
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
I didn't establish any legal entities or anything. I didn't engage any fund admin companies or anyone until we did the first close. I was like, I want to make sure that I'm 20% there to my fund target size because then I know it's going to happen, right? Like I don't want to pay retainer service. Oh my gosh, that sounds like a nightmare. It sounds like a lot of people want your business, but until you really have a momentum towards a first close, you really, who knows if it's going to happen, right? So to me, that was the most very special day.
Well,
Yeah.
you're great at keeping us informed. Keeping it, I don't know other people, but you keep us always informed, and that's very refreshing because you're always, oh, I wonder what she's doing. And there she is, 30 years later. Yeah, and you do a lot of events for LP, so
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. Even though I've traveled a lot, but I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think is going to happen in the next 10 years? Where are you in 10 years? When you
Ooh,
have to, when you wrap up Pachamama Ventures,
yeah.
what is
Yeah.
happening?
That's a good question. And I love that you said when you wrap up Pachamama, because in 10 years, I see myself still, I mean, uh, okay, like, so people ask, like, another kind of question is like, what do you, when do you want to retire? Or like, what? It's like, I don't think I can ever retire. Knowing myself, I don't think I'll ever stop working.
This
I
is
don't know
too
if you
much
relate
fun.
to that. Yeah, it's,
No,
it's,
I'm almost 65. I'm not gonna retire. This is too much fun.
Yeah, it is. And it's like there is so many opportunities. We're really living in an exciting time, right? I mean, it really, there is no better time like than right now to build companies, to leverage technology for good, right? Like, I mean, give it the parameters. I mean, really, kind of like expose the next generation to, I mean, think about it, the next generation is going to be completely AI native, for better or for worse, right? Like, that means that you really don't want to outsource the education of your children or your grandchildren to AI. If you leave it as it is and you're not like taking an active role in educating and using AI to educate others and how to use it, I feel like this is not just a missed opportunity to put it lightly, but also like could be detrimental, right? And I mean, we can take the conversation in that direction. But I mean, in 10 years, in terms of Pachamama, hopefully you're done with a fund 3 or 4, and then me taking a more passive role. I really want to be intentional about succession planning. And I know it's kind of absurd for me to talk about, but maybe too early for me to be talking in a fund 1 about succession planning. But I think about it all the time. I think about the next generation that should rise to the ranks, right, of Pachamama. And me just, I'm a solo GP right now, but I don't want to always be, right? I'm a big advocate on bringing new talent, junior talent, developing them in-house. And maybe my thinking is kind of like Fortune 100, that any CEO that I've seen come up the ranks in a Fortune 100 company was a very intricate plan, a succession plan. It was an insider that rose up through the ranks, right? So I bring that know-how and best-in-class playbooks of succession planning to my practice as a VC. But I know that's not the norm. I know that the VC firms tend to like bring all this junior talent, and then the turnover is so high. They have no, and then they're surprised, like, why are my junior people underperforming? It's because there's no plan to actually, right, like bring them up the ranks to a managing partner or a partner level. If you change the incentives, people will act accordingly, right? So the behavior changes only because of the incentive. So for me, it's truly important to step aside. It's time for the younger generations to take over, right? Especially in climate tech. I don't know if you see this, but I'm for one inspired by the younger generations because they really are the ones who are like turning the leaf. They're like, hey, I really want to vote with my wallet. What better options for the planet, everything, right? So I'm inspired by the younger generation. So in 10 years, I hope that I'm like taking a more passive role of Pachamama, and then our other general partners take on.
That's so interesting because I do, well, I travel a lot and I spend a lot of time in Europe, and they care for the environment is much higher here.
Hmm.
And it's
Yeah,
much better in California, where we both are, than in other states of
yeah,
America. But
yeah,
it's really interesting. You have a much more positive view than I do, but I'm an optimistic.
yeah,
I'm not like I was talking yesterday to a friend of mine who's German. He does a lot of work in Africa. We're going to meet tomorrow for some deals in Africa. It's a very, very charming person. And he mentioned I'm a hopeless optimist. And I said, I'm not hopeless at all. I'm just incurable. And so we're talking about the changes in the world. And it's interesting what you said about AI, because I noticed I've been a professor for many decades, and I noticed the change on the generations with the people that grew up with phone and
yeah,
people that grew up with access to internet. Like we didn't have
mhm,
access to internet.
yeah,
Um, I did when I was a mom. Well, I'm a mom, but when my kids were young, I banned
yeah,
TVs from my house. We had no TVs
yeah.
because I was concerned about the lack of communication and things like that,
Mhm.
which actually it didn't make any difference in my kids now. And they all have TVs, but I don't watch TV myself. But it
Yeah.
is interesting to just observe how we globalize these new technologies and create new frontiers. And I think it's really cool that you're building with that notion of the future right now. So really appreciate that. I haven't thought about that. Yeah, and bringing the next generations. Let me ask you something that um, I'm always intrigued by. When I was 12 or 13, I fell off a horse and I was in coma and I died, but I didn't die completely, so I came back. And ever since that happened, oh, that's okay. I don't, it was too long ago. But
Wow.
ever since that happened, I always think, who am I? Who am I when I'm no longer here?
Mm.
What is my essence when I'm not here, when I'm gone? Have you thought about that? Who are you? Who are you when you're no longer here?
Wow, what a lovely question. I don't think I've ever been asked in a podcast or any conversation with anyone unless they're my husband or people very close to me. That kind of conversation about consciousness, right? What constitutes consciousness? What makes you you, right? Um, I love the topic of conversation because it's so incredibly complex. I mean, there are schools of thoughts that say your memories are who you are. Like if you, the moment you lose your memory, I mean, the terrible, disease of Alzheimer, all of this, does that erase you as a person, right? Like, because you're not the same. It changes
Mhm.
dramatically even your temper, like your personality, right? So what constitutes who you are? I mean, I love that question because you can take it in many directions. Is it just consciousness, or are we talking about spirituality? And that can be like interesting because some people could say, I don't know, I think we're just physical matter, right? The moment we're gone, then we're gone, right? I'm a spiritual person, so I do think that there's a journey beyond. I do think that there's a lot of sci-fi films that I could quote and like things that are interesting that I love sci-fi, where like, is it the ability to download your consciousness into a computer, does that mean that you will live forever? At that moment, I was like, that's interesting to consider, right? And there's so many ethical aspects to all of it, right? Yeah, personally, I am a Christian, so that I mean, I grew up as many in Latin America with that, right? But my past, I have a complicated relationship with my Christianity. Let's just say that, okay? And I think the fact that you chuckle is because you know what I'm getting at. Um, Institutional religion is interesting, right? And not to get like polemical about it. My own understanding of it has been complex because of my own journey, and I've traveled around and lived in different places. That has broadened my understanding of spirituality, right? So I do think that there is uh, a meaningful path beyond. Well, physically, I'm not here anymore. But when it comes to consciousness, I am excited to think about and explore what does technology mean? What will it do for, for your memories, for how do you communicate that to the next generation? Because as you know, right, like the intergeneration passing of knowledge is super important. I think one of the things that I discovered or I thought more about when I was going through a Yale course for tropical forestry and agroforestry. I know I'm getting there. I promise you. It seems like unrelated, but one of the biggest things that one of the instructors was saying is that agroforestry in Central America and South America, it's losing its shine and momentum because all these farmers in these countries in Latin America that are growing older, their children are getting ahead and they're moving away into cities. So there is a loss of knowledge of how to tend for soil, how to continue doing this like use and treat it to become more again, right? Like and bring resources again. So I think that intergenerational. Can you hear me? Okay, Alicia, still?
I did. I lost you for a minute,
Okay.
but I was just very, very into your answer. I mean, I love that question because people come up with all sorts of completely different answers.
Yeah.
It's very profound.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you that the loss of wisdom, agricultural wisdom,
Hmm.
is international. And the drama is that the people that are doing the farming now, that have not had the farm for generations, don't have the love for the earth
Hmm.
that the other generation don't have the
Yeah.
Pachamama.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you lose memories, right? Going back to the concept of consciousness and who you are is lost, right? When you lose memories, you don't have these, if you're like born into a space where you have no recollection, no memory, intergenerational or whatnot, nothing is being passed down from older generations, and you're losing that connectivity. Who is there to educate you and remind you of how was that we were supposed to tend for the world or whatnot, right? It's a real issue, right? I mean, there even a silly movie, a Disney movie like Coco, which is around like Dia de los Muertos or whatever, kind of like it's interesting because the message is memories are everything. The moment you forget someone or a concept or the way you cared or you used to care for the natural world is super important. The moment you lose that, it ceases to exist. So memory being very tied to consciousness, right? Like super important. So I happen to think that is what makes us human is our consciousness, our memories, what we pass along to the next generation, right?
This is
Yeah.
fascinating because my mom is a World War II orphan. She lost her parents at 2,
Mm. Oh my
and she
goodness.
was
Wow.
raised by her grandma, and then she was adopted to by an American in Venezuela, and that's how I ended up in Venezuela. That's how she ended up in Venezuela. She was already 12. But what you say is so profound, and and to everybody that is listening here, is just how you transmit your essence to others and keep them. I never heard that way. So I'm very grateful, very, very grateful for that concept about consciousness and you are your memories. And I think I'm going to share that with my mom because I think she's missed that. She's missed she grew up during the war, so she had all that
Yeah.
trauma.
Yeah.
And it is true. It is so true. So thank you for that. Karen, anything else you want us to know about you?
Oh my gosh. I think, well, I mean, you can follow me, find me on LinkedIn. I love meeting people that are mission aligned, if you care about climate, nature, you know where to find me. I'm in the Bay Area too. I love the outdoors and hikes and everything. So, you're in the Bay Area and you enjoy that. Happy to go on that together. And Alicia, obviously, thank you so much for the time. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast. I hope you can make one of our events. I know you're on the road a lot, but like I really hope that you can come to one of
I
our events.
will, I will, I will. Yeah, that's on my bucket list. Yeah. You just need to tell me like 6 months before. So I put it there. But
Yes.
thank you so much for being with us. We are Roxanne is going to put more information about you in the podcast. I really appreciate that. Thank
Thank you,
you, everybody,
Alicia.
for being here. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this conversation with Karen. She is a young, driven woman VC from Peru. She's traveled and lived in different countries. I love her energy. He's her, very practical approach to investing, and her conversations are really inspiring all the time and fun. Her notion about cognition and conscious and memories sparked a lot of emotions in me because, as you heard, my mom is a World War II orphan, and she didn't have that connection with her family. She lost it for many years, and she recovered. She knew her sister and her brother, but they were too young when the parents passed away. Uh, this is Alicia Castillo Holley. I'm now in Berlin. That's why you see all blurry here because it's very late. And I hope you have a wonderful time. See you on the next episode. Yours in Wealthing, Alicia. Thanks for tuning in to our Wealthing Talks. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation. To stay connected, visit us at wealthing.com. This is Alicia Castillo Holley, your host, and until next time, yours in Wealthing.